Good morning, manatees. I'm glad you're going to join me for reading today. So let's talk about our essential question. Let's review over some of our skills. First, we want to focus on the essential question for the entire unit, which is how do we react to changes in nature? You know, we're kind of going through that right now. Not necessarily with weather, maybe, but there are some changes going on. So we are going to read Volcano and I Am Wind today. Then we're going to do an activity. All right, so here's our essential question. How do we react to changes in nature? We will read Volcano and I Am Wind. Excuse me, and you know how we do our end rhyme poems, okay? And then this one is our informational science. So we'll read all of those. But first, I'd like you to join me in watching the unit video. Let me move this just a little bit. All right.
And water change.
Okay, so let's go back to our story. And we are going to do just that. We are going to read about a volcano. And now if I look, this is informational science, right? That's the genre that we're reading. It's informational science. This tells me that what I'm about to read is nonfiction. Now remember, you have all of these materials in your Benchmark Advance. I did put them in there as an assignment to you so you can go back and review. But in Google Classroom is where you're going to find the work for afterwards, okay? So you'll have an activity about the reading. Now remember, we're focusing on main idea this week. So we've got a few skills. Main idea, making connections between a series of events. We're analyzing reasons, and we're going to talk about irregular plurals and collective nouns. And I do have an activity that we're going to do, understanding collective nouns, right here. So you'll see this activity in Classroom. Let's go over it real quick before we do our reading. So a collective noun names a group of people. So if I have a person, right, when I'm talking about more than one person, collective nouns, it would be people, okay? Or they give you examples. A group of students. A group of students is called class. A group of people could be called a crowd, okay? Mountains, a group of mountains is called a range of mountains. A group of birds is called a flock of birds. So in this activity, you're going to underline collective nouns in each sentence. And you can use, I think I have a little circle tool that I gave you to actually kind of group around. Or you can use a highlighter tool. That's totally okay. You can use the highlighting tool when you're doing your work. So when you do that, you know just to go up to the text box and highlight. All right, then you will go ahead and replace these words. So read the directions. Always read directions. Don't ever just jump to do a work without taking the time to read everything first. Replace each noun in parentheses with the collective noun from the box that best completes each sentence. Then you will write the collective noun on the line. So we have three choices: crowd, band, team. The musician plays a tune. So a musician is one person. If we have a lot of musicians together, what would we call them? Looking at these three words, we'd probably call them a band. So you're going to type band on the line, okay? All right, you'll have a second page to do about collective nouns. And so this is really kind of extra practice. It's a grade. You're still supposed to complete it, but it's extra practice for what we just went over. So it tells you all over again what a collective noun is. Take the time to read it, manatees. Just like if we were in the classroom, I wouldn't even let you pick your pencil up until we have read over the directions. So don't go jump into typing and then I have to give it back to you and say, oh, you got number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wrong. Take your time. I know you're so super smart, and pay attention to those details and the directions. Okay? All right, now let's read. Volcano. Under Earth's crust is a layer of large rocky plates called the mantle. These plates shift and move around. Sometimes plates push against each other with so much force that one plate slides on top of the other. This causes the mantle to melt, push up, melting even more rock. The heat and pressure build until a vent or crack opens in the crust. This causes an eruption. An erupting volcano spews hot gas, rocks, and ash. Molten rock or lava flows down the volcano, changing the landscape forever. Now, as you read, you have your book, right? Some of you have your book at home with you, and if you found your book, then you can pull your book out and you can read and you can make your notes within the book, okay? But if you did not find your book, it is assigned to you in Benchmark Advance. So you'll go to your assignments, and as you read, see where it says notes here? I can just click and start typing my notes. So I want to write down, this is your challenge, after you reread this, I want you to write down 3 key details, preferably in order, but 3 key details. So that means we actually have 3 paragraphs here, don't we? So we could go back, reread paragraph 1, and write down the most important, a key detail, okay? The same thing for 2, a key detail, and 3. Now this is your learning work, so this isn't part of the assignment that you have to turn in. You'll just click done that you turned in when you're finished reading, and you will also do the activities that are assigned, okay? All right, let's go on to the next story. End rhyme poem. I am wind. Now you know we usually box in our rhyming words in different colors. So I'm going to attempt to do that today as well. Let me get some colored pens going here. All right. I am restless, never still. I know no bounds. I go where I will. Free to fly, I set on my course. I am wind, a mighty force. Hear me whisper, hear me moan, as I carve out shapes from stone. Round and round the rocks I go, never stopping, blow, blow, blow. Centuries is what I take for all the sculptures that I make. But at last I leave my mark for you to see at Zion Park. Towers made of rock and sand, all mine, no touch of human hand. Just an old wind passing through, but see the wondrous things I do. All right, so let's take a look at that. Now the marker was changing as I was making my colors, but that's okay. I'm learning like you're learning. So we have still and will, course and force, moan and stone, go, blow, take, make, mark, park, sand, hand, through, do. Those are all of our rhyming words. And it's an end rhyme poem, which means the end of every sentence has a rhyme. But I really, really like this poem because it's poetry, so of course it makes you feel and think, but it's poetry that is about real action and events and real possibilities. So who's talking in the poem? Wind. Wind is talking, that's right. Wind is doing the talking. And wind is telling you what wind does. Wind's restless. Wind is never still. Wind goes wherever it wants. It decides, right? It's very strong. Sometimes you can hear it. And even the stone, big rocks, aren't strong enough for wind because it says it never stops. And even though it may take centuries, do you know what a century is? 100 years. 100 years is a century. So it could take 100 years to make the sculptures. And it says for you to see at Zion Park. So what I would like you to do is, on your free time, check out and look up Zion Park. And if you do, of course, write some things down in your notes. Okay? All right, manatees. This concludes our reading together. So your job is going to be, of course, to go back and reread, because how many times do we read? Close reading, yes, always 3 times, always 3 times. First time for attacking the words, decoding, figuring out what we're reading. The second time is more for understanding. We're trying to understand, what are we reading? What is the story more about? What is it telling us? And the third time, you got it, fluency and prosody. Always to help change our intonation and the way we read and just become a better reader all over. Right? All right. Go on and get to work, and I will see you very soon.